move on to preview, right? Week 3 in college football. Lots more games, big games coming up, exciting matchups. I guess we'll start with, Georgia, South Carolina, two SEC East teams. This game is at South Carolina, Georgia. Uh, 24 and a half is the spread here.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the spread here. This is coming after South Carolina's loss to Arkansas, um, where Arkansas won pretty handily, and Georgia, currently the number one ranked team in college football, starting at 3, kind of putting everything together, showing that they have some offense and their defense is still elite. Um, but yeah, I mean, this game, I this is the type of game that Georgia might lose, right? Not just another SEC team, but a conference opponent or divisional opponent in another SEC East team. Um, yeah, I mean, South Carolina is still a good team, right? They lost to Arkansas. Arkansas is a great team,
Yeah.
right? They
Arkansas
they've been showing
certainly showed
they're
it.
they're certainly trending up, top 10 caliber team. South Carolina loses. Okay, fine. Now you have Georgia coming in. Um, Georgia's gonna still be a great team, but we see these teams, they drop games sometimes. This could be a sleeper where they come in here and South Carolina maybe keeps it a little close, hangs around, and I could see South Carolina finding a way to surprise some people and get this win. Um, will Georgia probably win? Yeah,
Most likely.
but I think there's a chance here where this could be a little tighter than people think. I think 24 and a half points. Um, I
That's a
don't know.
lot.
I think people might see what happened with Oregon. I think
Yeah.
that's going to happen again. I don't think that's happening in this game.
I think
I,
it
I,
is.
I think 24 and a half points. Give me those points for South Carolina. I have more confidence in them than that.
So we'll get back to that next week. I think Georgia's gonna win that by. I think Georgia's gonna. I think they may even shut out South Carolina. You got to think about it. Georgia's only let so far this season. Their defense has only let 3 points.
Yeah.
That was the 3 point. Well, was it 3 points that Oregon scored? I
Yep.
believe so.
Well,
So
well, I mean, they play Oregon and Sanford, so
yeah,
I mean, you're going.
Sanford is
It's really
right,
just Oregon, right? In one
but
game, and you had Oregon. Their coach Dan Lanning, he's like worshiping Kirby Smart the whole time. Probably didn't even want to win the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you know, the way that Oregon game went, it's just not how all the games go, right? Can Georgia do that again? Yeah, they can. I just
you
I
just
don't
don't
think
think
that's
it'll
that's what's
happen with
gonna.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen this week. Um, Another huge game. We have Miami, who's looking great under Mario Cristobal. Um, Going in and going up against Texas A&M, who's in shambles right now,
Yeah, I
right?
think they'll upset them.
Yeah, and so in this one we have Texas A&M 5.5 point favorites. Um, you know, Miami's coming in there. Their quarterback Tyler Van Dyke has looked great. Um, their team plays together. They look like a team on the rise. Uh, you would like to see some more help emerge in the wide receiver room. That really hasn't showed up. But otherwise Miami playing great. This is a weird one. I can see Miami winning this game, but also
I can see them covering for sure.
I can see Texas A&M waking up. This is going to be a huge game for them, right? It's kind of all on the line already when you lose that badly. Generally, when you're a good team, you bounce back, and we've seen other teams get upset before.
Right.
You don't get upset usually and then lose
And then
again,
lose again,
right?
yeah, back to back.
But now they're going against a Miami team who's a good team. They might be able to beat them whether they got upset last week or not, right? So it's a tricky one. Um, but yeah, if you got to throw money on this, I think you go take Miami with the points. Um, but I wouldn't be confident in that either way. I could see both outcomes here. Texas A&M might bounce back and you know put on a great performance and come away with the win, and they're at home. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you got to take that into account as well. Um, another team we talked about earlier, UTSA, always a hard team to go up against. They find a way to keep it close. They play Texas. We talked about Texas having to find a way to stay grounded and not, you know, think too highly of themselves after keeping the game close with Alabama. They should have won that game. They didn't, right? Everyone thought it was going to be a blowout. It wasn't. They showed that they can hang with Alabama. Now they have UTSA coming in,
which is a tough team.
a tough team, man, and they're going to fight. And they, the same way that Texas probably said to themselves, yeah, we could keep it close with Alabama, UTSA is saying about Texas. So um, that's going to be a tough game. Quinn Ewers is not going to be playing. He's going to be out a few weeks. I don't even know what's going on with Hudson Card. He's limping around. Probably we see him is my guess, but that's not even certain right now. This is a 12.5 point spread. Um, I could see Texas getting this win by the way that they played Alabama. I mean, they play like that. They should get the win. But yeah, I mean, I like UTSA 12.5 points. I mean, they keep games close, so
Right.
I'd be very comfortable with that. Um, you know, we'll move on to BYU versus Oregon, right? Oregon, like we talked about, got destroyed by Georgia in week one. Um, really hurt them. I mean, people had them overranked for sure, but yeah, they just got destroyed by Georgia. They have BYU coming in, who's hot right now. They've been pulling out wins against strong opponents. They're battle tested. Like we mentioned earlier, tons of experience. So they go into this game is at Oregon, and I actually expect BYU to win this game. Oregon is the favorite in this, because they're at home. I think they have a weird like 20 game home winning streak. I think it's like the longest in the Pac 12, but yeah, I still like BYU here. BYU and you get them at plus 3.5.
That's a that's
Good,
definitely good
good,
to take
good
the
deal
points.
for me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I take BYU in this as well. I think their quarterback is going to put them on their back again. Um, and Oregon, yeah, they have that streak, but Oregon also is they haven't really gotten on track yet. So I guess this will be kind of a good. I guess that'll be kind of a good determination to kind of see where they're at, really.
right. Um, another big game: Penn State versus Auburn. So Penn State, had Auburn come into Happy Valley last year. That was a whiteout game. This year they go play at Auburn. This is kind of like the battle of the home team advantages over here. Two of the best home team advantages in college football. Um, this game, like I said, at Auburn, Penn State is a 3.5 point favorite, probably mostly due to just Auburn not really showing uh, the greatest offense so far. Their quarterback, he could run the ball, he could do some things, but he's not gonna really destroy you with his arm. Penn State looking great, right? They went in, they got the win at Purdue, then they got a solid win against Ohio, where they dominated. So they're the favorite, but yeah, I don't think you could sleep on Auburn here. They find a way to pull wins out. Everyone remembers last year they took Alabama down to the wire. They should have won that game against Alabama last year.
Right.
They got Penn State in their building, one of the greatest home field advantages in college football, as we said. So yeah, this will be a tough game, and probably a close game, probably a fun game to watch, regardless of who ends up pulling out the win here. And then we have Utah going against San Diego State. San Diego State, great defense, not as good offense. Utah, kind of a little bit of both. Huge favorites in this game though, 21.5 points. Um, you know, they dropped like 70 last week. I mean, not against a great opponent.
That's crazy.
Um,
To drop 70 isn't easy.
yeah,
in general,
exactly. And we
against
saw them.
any football
We
team.
saw them go toe to toe against Ohio State in that Rose Bowl, right? They kept it close. That went down towards the end of the game. So I like Utah here. I probably usually wouldn't like them to cover, but I think that they have a decent shot. It's 21.5 though,
Yeah,
so
that's kind of
that's
a lot.
over 3 touchdowns. So that's a real tough one if you're gonna put money down. But yeah. Either way, Utah should come out with a win here and move on. Some more interesting matchups. We have Florida State at Louisville. This one's the early game, Friday night. Florida State coming off that win against LSU. Louisville looking to get it back on track. I mean, they had some struggles this year. They lost in week one against Syracuse. Malik Willis or Malik Cunningham, sorry. So Malik Cunningham just hasn't been performing up to speed yet. So maybe a bounce back game for them. But Florida State is favored here on the road, 2.5 points. Um, yeah, that one would be a fun one to watch. Mississippi State -2.5 at LSU. Um, you know, can LSU pull this one off? Yeah, but it doesn't seem like they have the momentum right now. Butte doesn't look interested in this offense, and Mississippi State is really underrated this year. Their offense is high powered. They have some solid defensive pieces. Um, I like Mississippi State in this one, and I like them to cover on the road to LSU. Um, another pretty nice matchup. We have Michigan State versus Washington. Washington actually favored 3.5 points. I'd take Michigan State.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
take
three
Michigan
with the
State
three
as
and a
well.
half points. I think Bell Tucker's gonna have his boys ready to go, and I think they get this win on the road. This is a huge one for the Big Ten though, because you know, Wisconsin lost, and there's some been Iowa lost, Nebraska's
Nebraska
losing.
lost
You need some of these other Big Ten teams
to
be
at least represent the
yeah
conference and
to
make it a little
to
bit
get
more
some wins,
reputable.
right? So and so Michigan State's gonna have a chance here to go on the road to get a solid win. Texas Tech is going to North Carolina State. North Carolina State favored by 10.5 here. This one's a tough one. Texas Tech pulled out the win against Houston last week. Um, that was in their building. This time they go on the road, but North Carolina State, they got to be careful because they don't want what happened to Houston to happen to them. Um, 10.5 point spread. Um, it'll be a tough one. I can see this game being a potential blowout if North Carolina State gets rolling. I mean, they have a lot to prove, and they expect to be a top team this year, and they haven't really shown that much consistency yet. So
And they're playing at home, so
yeah, and they're
that's
playing at
always a
home
plus.
against a high-powered offense where they could have the chance to either get in like a shootout or just get on track and prove their defense could play and score points themselves. So, um, you know, Devin Leary at home here has a shot to get another win. Um, Fresno Fresno State going to USC. USC 12.5 point favorites here. Um, this should be a win by USC. It's just kind of about how close this will get. Fresno has been looking kind of disappointing this year. Um, you would have thought they'd be off to a better start. So this could be a blowout by USC, but also if Fresno comes to play, maybe they play the way that everyone thought they would this year, and they could sneak up on USC if they don't.
If they don't really stay on their P's and Q's.
Right, exactly. Some other games we got Oklahoma at Nebraska. Oklahoma -10.5 there. Nebraska in shambles should be an easy win for Oklahoma. South Florida going into Florida. Huge spread, 23.5. Florida's at home. This should be a get back on track game for Anthony Richardson. No passing touchdowns. Maybe
Yeah,
he
that's
gets
pretty.
a chance to light it up this week and kind of get his team building back some more momentum that they might have lost. We have Toledo going against Ohio State. Ohio State -32 here. Toledo can play. I mean, they have an
Minus
offense, right?
32 is crazy.
But Toledo has an offense, so that minus 32 from Ohio State. I mean, there's more than a decent chance that they don't cover
They
that
don't cover it.
against a team like Toledo. But it'll be interesting. I think my thoughts is that they probably do cover here. I think they showed they were getting back on track last week. I think this week Ryan Day gets these guys in line and really puts on a performance while they can before they ramp up and start taking on better opponents.
Yeah.
UConn at Michigan. I mean, UConn, terrible team. Michigan favored 47.5 points.
Wow. Yeah, I think Michigan blows them out the water.
Yeah, Michigan's probably gonna wipe the floor with them. Nothing to see here. Not even worth tuning into unless you just want to see a bunch of highlights or something. Similar thing going on. Alabama, UL Monroe, 49.5 point favorites. When the spreads are this big, this is just a get on track game for these teams.
UL Monroe, it sounds like maybe it's like a culinary school, but
yeah. And then Clemson minus 33.5 versus Louisiana Tech. Another get right game for another powerhouse school.
I do think they should be able to show more in their offense, though. It is a game where it's like that's a gimme.
You could look at the spreads and you can see that Vegas doesn't favor their scoring ability, because we talked about Ohio State minus 32 against a high scoring Toledo team, right. And then we talk about Michigan and Alabama minus 47.5, minus 49.5. Clemson playing similar opponent minus 33.5, right?
Yeah.
So this is a game where this is supposed to be for them to get on track. They need to start putting more into their offense, producing more scores, producing more yards, right? Showing more as a well-rounded team. They have a solid defense. We all know this. They have an amazing defensive line, a bunch of NFL prospects, but man, they really got to get back on track with this offense, and they should get to do it here before they get into ACC play.
And that's where you have to really
because
make the decision.
That's going to be tough when once you get into that.
Are we going to start Cade Klubnik, or are we going to keep going with DJ? So,
right.